What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome back to another episode of Punk Rock Radar. In this episode, we are talking our top albums of 2022, so buckle up and let's get going. All right, top 10 albums of 2022. This is going to be our first episode of the new year, but before we get into it, I just want to thank every single person who's watched one of the videos, who's subscribed, who's liked, who shared a video. Thank you. Huge thank you to you guys. We just hit 50,000 total views. So if you're subscribed, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Our goal for this year is 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, we're hoping to hit that in 2023. And if you want to support the channel even further, you could head over to punkrockradarcom over here. I'm putting out 5 or 10 albums this year. I've got 2 vinyl pre-orders already, so if you want to support the channel, head over there, pick them up. They're awesome pop punk bands. Also got t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, the works. But yeah, let's get into this top 10 of 2022. Good morning, Karina. How are you doing?
Well, it's actually afternoon. Good morning, John. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Today's episode is sponsored by my drinking habits, which isn't coffee today, like you, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
how are you doing?
7:30 in the morning, doing this bright and early on New Year's Eve. This is gonna go live tomorrow on New Year's Day. But yeah, I am. I'm getting there. My brain is slowly kicking into gear, getting the caffeine going. But yeah, let's get straight into this, Karina. I'm gonna let you get your number 10 album of the year first. What is your first pick?
Well, I don't think this one is going to come as much as a surprise to anyone, but it's the Flatliners with New Ruin. And I think it's fair that it's my number 10 because it's a really good album, much better than their previous one. But also the vocals on this album is wow, like so powerful. And the songs that I would suggest listening to is It'll Hurt, personal favorite, Big Strum, Heirloom, and Oath.
Nice. Yeah, this is a big comeback album for them. Back to Fat Records. I was really disappointed in the last one. We were gonna do actually, Karina, a top 10 most disappointing albums, and the last Flatliners album was gonna be on my list. I mentioned that in another video. But yeah, this is a great comeback. My favorite track is the title track. I just like the way he says performative hours. If I didn't know that was the title of the song, I would have no idea what he's saying. That's just his vocal delivery. Very, very interesting. But yeah, this is a great comeback album. I love the Flatliners too.
And they're playing a Manchester Punk Festival too next year.
There you go.
So if you're in England or Denmark or Europe or in America and thinking of spending money to go to the best punk festival, go to Manchester.
There you go. My first pick, and Karina's starting at 10. I'm going in chronological order. I couldn't break it down any farther. We started off at 25 albums. We had to narrow it down to 10. So I'm just going in chronological. But for the record, this is actually my favorite album of the year. This is Weatherstate, and this is Never Better. It came out in February of this year. And the way I would describe this album is kind of like that new style of grunge mixed up with pop punk. Like almost if you got like Smells Like Teen Spirit and put it in a blender with the Blink-182 Untitled album. And like the subject matter is pretty heavy on here. It deals a lot with depression and mental illness, but it's done in a way where the songs are so catchy that all these are getting stuck in my head constantly. Even at the back end, my favorite song, Never Getting Better, just that melody is almost like nursery school style, the way it goes, but it just gets stuck in your head. And the other album I want to say that this reminds me of, and this may be a little off base, but this is what I kept hearing, is Lit, A Place in the Sun. Like subtract My Own Worst Enemy, but the rest of that album, kind of that dirty, grungy feel, but with pop punk roots. That's kind of the direction this album has for me. Just 90s alternative mixed with pop punk. Just awesome band from the UK. Go check out their other stuff too. Karina, have you listened to this one at all?
No, I haven't. So this is actually going to be interesting. That's probably going to be my go-to today.
Oh yeah, look at all these tracks I've pinned from it. I limited it to like 3 or 4, but for this one I had to have 5 picks. But I'm gonna play Never Getting Better, but just go listen to it straight from the beginning. Even the intro song Low is just, it's a little like pseudo acoustic style song, but it just leads right into Hanger, the first single, so well. But yeah, go check this out. Weatherstate from the UK.
Life in observational, never getting better inside.
Okay, so my number 9 pick is some homegrown boys, my friends from NEXØ, that released this album earlier this year. I'm trying to remember the date. I can't. But what a year they have had. They have been supporting acts for Anti-Flag in Copenhagen and Dead Kennedys when they played in Denmark back in August. They have had such an incredible year, which is so given to them because these guys are the definition of what happens when you're angry at the system, but you know how to make music. This is hardcore. But just a special shout out to the band. They also did their fair share on mental health this year with releasing the music video for The Kids Aren't All Right, which brought us all to tears, but also brought us all into a deep conversation on why it shouldn't be bad talking about depression and anxiety. So. And if you're looking at the playlist and thinking of where to start off, I would say go from the top, but I have my favorites. And they are Truth Aside, Anger, The Kids Aren't All Right, and 404.
There you go. All right.
Definitely check them out.
I have not heard this yet, so this will be new for me. But yeah, we're going to play a clip of, how do you pronounce the band name?
NEXØ. How do you pronounce it?
I would say NEXØ. I'm an ignorant American, but here we go, guys. This is NEXØ, however you want to say it. Here we go. All right, so my next pick, no surprise for anybody here. This is a Wilhelm scream. Lose Your Delusion. This is the only one on my list that I don't have the physical copy of, but I have the skateboard over there, so I'm just gonna count that as owning the album. Really, anyone who knows me knew this was gonna be on my list. These guys just don't release albums too often, so anytime I get one of these, it's gonna be on my list. And this is not my favorite Wilhelm Scream album, but it's without a doubt one of my favorite albums of the year. I just think nobody really does this style the way Wilhelm Scream does. I was trying to think of bands to compare them to, but I think all the bands that kind of sound like this are influenced by Wilhelm Scream. Like all the bands out there nowadays who are doing like that fast, melodic, technical, but catchy style skate punk, it all kind of derives from the Wilhelm Scream formula. So if by some chance you have not heard Wilhelm Scream, this is a great starting point. There's so many good tracks on here, but I think like I have to go the Enigma, Figure Eights, and I think I actually picked the last song again, Downtown Start 2, as the clip for this song, but also Apocalypse Porn is a great song. But yeah, this is a great album to just spin if you're in the car, just fast, angry punk, with some messages in there. So go check this out. Karina, I know you've heard of these guys from Massachusetts. How do you feel about this record?
I actually love it. It's on my top 25 list. Didn't make the top 10. Sorry, guys. Don't hate me. But it is on my top 25. I do think it's one of the better albums that was released this year. If it's their best, don't know. Ask me in 5 years. I think we have to go with the policy like, if I like it and it's on the list, I'll probably still be listening to it in 5 years. And in 5 years, I'll probably have changed my opinion and say that it's the best album that they've made. Okay, this album is probably the best album that the Wonder Years has actually released. I've had this discussion back and forth with some of my friends, and I think it's fair to say that the vulnerability and overall growth that the band shows on this album, like writing songs about their kids and like just how much you can it's so relatable because we were all grown up now and some of us have kids, so you get everything that they sing about. Like during White's song Your Name, it was such, like, the first time I heard it, I was in tears. I just looked at my kids and I went, this is for you guys, I love you. Mommy's all right. And You're the Reason I Don't Want the World to End, that album too. I know that song too is like, it's so good, but I can't pinpoint what makes it good. I think it's the way that they have that, the way with lyrics, like when you listen to Doors Painted Shut, like him singing about he doesn't want to die, even though he keeps singing about death. It's one of those, yeah, man, we get it. We actually understand where you're coming from. You have something to live for now. It's just beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, this is your second, like not straight, but second album out of 3 that's, I feel like, is a comeback album for the band. I know that there's like these diehard Wonder Years fans out there, but I kind of fell out with them after The Greatest Generation. Like on the East Coast here, they kind of blew up in like 2008, 2009. So I was really into them with the Upsides and Suburbia. And then like that kind of slower direction they took after Greatest Generation really wasn't for me. But this one, I mean, Oldest Daughter, Lost in the Lights, like I've been blasting those songs. They're just so good. This is another comeback album. Even the album cover, it's the same colors as the Flatliners one. So definitely getting some vibes from this year. But yeah, go check out, guys, the new Wonder Years album if you've skipped over it. If you're like me and you kind of let them go by the wayside the last decade, this is definitely worth a listen. All right, my next album number 3, is going to be Debt Crisis, their self-titled record. These guys are from Washington, D.C., only 26 monthly listeners, so I think it's really important to shout this album out because I feel like a lot of you guys watching will be into this. If you're into like Lookout style pop punk, Screeching Weasel style pop punk, Mr. T experience, that kind of music. I randomly had found these guys on Bandcamp just one morning where I'm doing New Music Friday, and I've got like 6 or 9 slides. I was missing one album, so I was like, let me just pull up Bandcamp and see what's been released recently, and this was there, and I just found this. I was like, damn, like how have I not heard of these guys? And this album like blew me away. This is one of like the top. I've got 2 Ramones core bands on the list. This is obviously going to be top 2 then. My favorite songs on here, So Cool. If You Want Your Jean Jacket's the one that gets stuck in my head the most, but All About You and Pretty Whack, another pair of great songs. But if you like 3-chord Ramones style, Screeching Weasel style pop punk, this is the album for you. Karina, have you heard these guys at all?
I have, but I discovered them via Instagram, and then I started listening to them. And as she said, these guys are actually really, really good. And it is kind of Ramones and Screeching Weasels, but there's just something. They're so catchy, and I agree with everything you say. But yeah, these guys deserve a special shout out, and you should listen to them if you don't already.
There you go, guys. Debt Crisis, check it out. And there'll be links to all the bands down below. So go give them a follow, give them a listen, because we've got listener 25 and 26 right here. So go be 27.
Okay, so my 7th pick is Martha. They released their 4th album in October. Please Don't Take Me Back. And if you haven't heard of Martha, they are a DIY punk band, and it's so clear to hear in their music, and that's what makes them so good. It's great, but it's like power pop infused punk, and it's so rough. And I spoke to my friend about it the other day. It's just, the album in itself is so catchy from like the first track until you go down to the bottom and they start singing about climate crisis. Yeah, guys, that is a fucking thing. It's overall, you'd probably enjoy it, John, if you're cooking, because it's just so good. It deserves a chance. And the best thing is they come from a little town called Pity Me in England.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see the snow. You and I could both relate to this cold. You know, this is where a lot of these like kind of sad albums come from. You know, when we get darkness at 4 p.m. But I don't really cook much. I'll be honest. Outside of scrambled eggs and oatmeal, there's not much I can make. But I'll put it on anyway. Maybe I'll get down to the kitchen, make some gingerbread cookies, and put this record on, because I haven't heard this before either. So here you go, guys. This is Martha. Go check them out. All right, album number 4, I think, for me. This is gonna be Cold Years. Goodbye to Misery. This was actually number 1 on my list for most of the year until Weatherstate overtook it. But another UK band here. This band, I have I've had this comparison with me since the first time I heard this. This is if Dave House from The Loved Ones sang on American Idiot, this is the album you would get. I feel really good about that comparison, but you could see another one, all the songs I pinned, and you guys know I don't like long songs, but this first, the introduction track, 32, 4 minutes and 41 seconds. The end is the best part, and I don't usually get that far. I usually skip after 2:30, but Goodbye to Misery, title track, Headstone, Jane, Home, Kicking and Screaming is my favorite song on here, but this is an album, put it on drive. The whole thing is good. If you play guitar, it's really simple to play along to the whole thing. Really fun album. The only thing I don't like, I hate when bands do this. The sticker which has the numbering on it is on the outside of the plastic, and it's a gatefold album. So if you open up this album, you lose the sticker. I hate when bands do that. It's my only negative about this. So it's staying sealed, even though I really want to listen to it. But that is Cold Years, Goodbye to Misery. And Karina, I know this one was on your top 25. What do you have to say about this one?
Shout out to the guys from Scotland, being part Scottish myself. It kind of hits home, definitely with the song Home. 2022 has been shit, so it's definitely been a good album to like sit and reflect over. As I told you, I was playing video games last night, and I just started like going through my list of albums, and I do think I didn't give it a fair chance, because if I did, it might have popped up on my top 10. But like the songs like Headstone, Home, Wasting Away, Say Goodbye, Control, really, really great songs, and definitely some of them that I'd suggest you go listen to. Yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you, guys. So, okay, slowly is a band from Australia. Woohoo, home. Oh, well, born there. But is it punk? No, but they do have punk elements. They started as like a punk emo band, but then they gradually evolved into like an indie band. But I think it deserves a shout out, because this album, right? I discovered it in July when I was in Portugal, and not the album, but the band. And like they released Nothing On in 2021, and it just kept like popping into my head. And so when they released the album, I was like, okay, they're gonna have a few catchy songs, but the whole album is just like, it's bangers all the way down. And it has like, it's a bit 80s inspired with some of the songs like Nothing On and Achilles Heel, but they actually do have our all-time emo and Dashboard Confessional on one of the numbers. And that's a really good number. Their vocals complement each other to the bone. Like it got to a point where it was really hard telling who was who because it just flowed. The whole album is such a flow. And if you're wondering what to start out with, I'd suggest, because John, you have to listen to it. It's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Blueprint, Nothing On, God, and Paper Mache. All amazing songs. Paper Mache is a piano ballad. Oh my God.
All right. I might be
So
skipping
beautiful.
Paper Mache, but I'll definitely spin this one. I've never heard of this band. Honestly, if I saw this album cover, I would probably skip over it because it looks sidewalk art. I'm not sure what's going on there, but if you recommend it that much, and despite what you guys may think, I actually do enjoy Dashboard Confessional, especially the early stuff and the Spider-Man song, of course. So I will give Slowly a shot. You should go give it a shot too. I'm going to play a clip right now. Let us know what you think.
This hometown hero has a window he can raise. I'll let you down.
All right, next band for me, an album so nice I bought it twice. This is Moonraker and The Forest. And I think this, of all the albums I'm going to do today, I think this is the one that people who follow this channel are going to like the most. And I was surprised. Just now we pulled this up. Only 300 followers or monthly listeners for Moonraker. This is easily one of the best like Fat Wreck Epitaph style releases of the year. This album reminds me a lot of if you mixed the Lawrence Arms and NoFX together, especially like early 2000s Lawrence Arms and maybe like late 90s NoFX. That's definitely the vibe I get here. These guys are from California. They've got a couple really good albums. The one before this one is solid as well, but I think this is my favorite release by them. Going through the tracks here, my personal favorite song is going to be The Great Glass Elevator. That'll be the clip I play. But it's one of those albums, I don't know if it's a concept or not, but the songs kind of roll off each other, one to the other. So I think it's important, at least your first listen, to start it from one. Get all the way to Soot, which is another one of my favorites off the album. Other picks, definitely Mouthful of Rush and Vanishing Act. Like this chunk here, 3 to 5, is such a sweet spot. One of my favorite like 1, 2, 3s of the year. But this is probably my number 3 overall album of the year. I just really, really enjoyed this. And I'm not sure if their label is still doing this, but Tiny Dragon was offering this for pay what you want. But you can also get it from Bearded Punk. It's worth getting. The vinyl's really cool. It's like a green to black kind of blob style. And then there's a couple other colors, but this is Moonraker, The Forest. If you like Fat Wreck, if you like NoFX, Lawrence Arms, go check this album out right now. And Karina, I know you like this band too. What'd you think of this record?
I haven't heard it yet. Oh, I think I missed something here. God damn it, 2022. No, but the band's really good. And they actually, just by going with your description of the album, I think it's definitely going to be one that is going to be a favorite over at my place. I love Lawrence Arms. God damn it, those guys.
Yeah, this is like Apathy and Exhaustion era Lawrence Arms is like the spot where I would put this, like mixed with like Pump Up the Volume, NoFX. This album is just too good. I think only 300 monthly listeners, that should be like 3,000 or more. So guys, if you're watching this, go check out this album right now. It's a can't miss of 2022.
So for my 5th pick, we have Pup with the Unraveling of Pup the Band. I should probably go on record and say that anything they do, I think is flawless, except this album, but it's still good. The album has like a bit of change of the music style. They switched producers, and I actually interviewed Steve from Pup in November, so you can go check that out. and hear what he has to say about the album. But like from writing a song about a guitar, yeah, that's the Matilda. It's about a guitar, which is so very pop. And to their music videos, if you guys haven't seen their music videos, go watch them. They're extremely creative. Again, the interview explains how they do it. But like overall, I'm such a big fan of them, and the music is, I can't really put my finger on it. It has like this do-it-yourself rough sound, even though it's like really well produced, but somehow they keep nailing the stuff. So nailing the sound from their previous album. So yeah, it had to be my number 5. Can't leave the award to the sweetest Canadian guys is probably going to go to Pup.
So yeah, and this is a band I've had a lot of conversations with you about them. I've had conversations with people on Instagram about them. Like maybe, I don't know if it was this year or last year, I had posted like there's 2 bands from Canada that are huge that I've just never been into. The first is Pup. The second is Billy Talent. And it's just like one of those bands. Like I don't know what it is. It just doesn't click with me. I definitely hear, why people like it, but for how big these bands are, I never saw it. I need to spend more time with this one for sure. I kind of like gave it one listen. I was like, this isn't really my thing, but I'm seeing it pop up on more and more lists. And I think it's happened with everything they've released. But you made it sound like this is like your least favorite Pup album. Is that true?
Not my, yeah. I mean, it's good. There are a lot of good songs on it, but compared to their 3 previous albums, I just felt like, oh God, they're gonna hate me. Please don't hate me, guys. The songwriting could have been more in depth, but I mean, I'm glad that it was released because I have this is probably my only album on my top 10. Okay, third to last album where I recommend every song. But the songs I'm gonna recommend listening to is Totally Fine, Waiting, Pup the Band Inc. is filing for bankruptcy, and Grim Reaping. I think those are the biggest standouts on the album. And yeah. Sorry, guys.
All right, guys. So go check out Pup the Band if you're not super into this one. It's got killer album art. I'll say that. It's probably one of my favorite album arts of the year. But a lot of depth may have not gone into the songwriting, but it definitely went into the album art. But either way, go check this out. This is Pup. All right, so staying in Canada, my next pick is going to be Handheld, a Canadian tragedy. And this is 14 or 15 years after their last album. I've got a couple comeback albums on my list, but this is one I was really looking forward to. It came out on Thousand Island Records, which just knocked it out of the park this year. I think I have 2 or 3 from Thousand Islands on my list. And the way I would describe this band is like kind of early strung out, like the first few albums of Strung Out mixed with like 90s No Effects. Like that's the vibe I get from this album. And it's got like a cool theming here. It's called Canadian Tragedy. Like each song on here is about a Canadian celebrity, I believe. I know there's John Candy and then Bret Hart. I haven't dug deep enough into the lyrics to figure out the other ones yet, but cool concept album. Probably my favorite skate punk style album of the year, which is my, favorite style of punk rock is skate punk, this 90s epitaph fat style. So I've been really listening to this album ever since it came out. I told the guys it was going to be on the list. I didn't lie. I lied to a couple bands, which I always do, unfortunately. Oh. I mean, I want to say this. I forgot to say in the beginning, I posted 488 albums this year on Instagram. So this is the top 2%. So there are some albums that were on my list that slipped out. This one has stayed in there the whole time. Handheld, Canadian Tragedy. So have you listened to this one at all? Have you heard these guys?
Yes, I have. I was actually just speaking with my editor-in-chief over at Rock Freaks the other day about Handheld. And sadly, it's on the never-ending list of reviews we're behind on. I'm so sorry, guys, but I really love the album. I especially loved Leaving Candyland. So, John, if you could like tell them to tell me who it's about. I mean,
John Candy.
We'll probably. Is it about John Candy?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Well, I mean, the review's going to be up at some point next year. Just wait, guys. No, it's a really good album, and it's even on my top 25.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
My favorite one on here is Flip the Script. I love the way that hook right before the chorus. These guys could just write a hook, and it's just littered with them. 11 songs. That's the only downside. I wish there was like 2 or 3 more, because this is one I'm listening to every single song. Started from Double Double DUI and just played straight through. Awesome skate punk album in the vein of 90s Fat Wreck, which everyone watching this channel I'm sure is into. So this is Handheld, Canadian Tragedy. Go check it out.
It's gone like Jimmy Hoffa. Something doesn't feel right.
So, number 4 is probably Denmark's cutest band that we have to offer, and it's Forever Unclean. This is a band where you want to take them home, feed them cookies, and ask, "Are you okay?" Yeah, but okay. So jokes aside, they decided to pull a fast one on pretty much everyone. They once said that they'd never release a full-length album. What up? And then they even released it 1st of January 2022. just like we were all hungover, but my editor-in-chief, he did a really good review of it. And overall, it's a good album. As you can see, like the titles, it's extremely clean. It's one word. They even have a song in Danish, which is actually one of my favorite songs on it. And just to do some, not self-promotion, but promotion for my friend's festival. Hi, Andrew. Nasty Cut Records, which is their record label, is actually putting on a festival in Copenhagen in May. It's a 3-dayer. And they're playing with Trophy Jumps and Burnt Tapes and Hoi Poi. So, I mean, if you want recommendations on what songs to listen to, please listen to, Dream and Mandy and Cut, which is my favorite. I love Cut, even though it's in Danish, and I generally hate Danish music. But with NEXØ and Forever Unclean, not because they're buddies, but because they actually make generally good music, I recommend them to everyone. And the last one I'd recommend is Smile. I really like that one for some reason. It's very out of character for me.
So,
but John, you said you knew them.
Yeah, I have Dream on my playlist. I really enjoyed this album. I love when there's a January 1 album that comes out and it's just so good. Like last year for me was the Dirty Nil record that just right off the bat it set the tone for the year. And yeah, this was the first album of 2022 that I listened to also. And you're tight with these guys because I have a question. Is the band name from the show The League? I don't know if you've watched that, the fantasy football show, but something happens with Nick Kroll's son where that I don't know if that's where that band name comes from. That's what I would guess.
Actually, I don't know. I think you and I need to ask them, like convince them to jump on here and we can ask them a million of questions because I've actually been wondering that myself.
It's gotta be. I've never heard that expression anywhere else, but yeah, we'll have them on. We'll figure something out because we're both into this record. I love the album cover. I mean, the band name is Forever Unclean, but like you said, I love the track list, just one word, just so nice and symmetrical the way.
But they do it with they do it with everything that they've released, all the EPs that they've released. It's been so clean. And this is actually, the album's good, but I really like Woof. Fun story, little antidote that I actually want to be kept in. My second child was born on the bathroom floor, and this is going on record, so I'm going to keep it clean. But I discovered Forever Unclean while I was really, really pregnant. I discovered them around the beginning of September in 19. They had not released anything at that time. But I was so bored being pregnant. I'm sorry, honey. That I couldn't sleep. So I just decided to go on a deep dive. And one of the things was I was hemorrhaging after I'd given birth. And so I really needed sleep. So I actually started singing their song Sleep. Thank you guys. I think they know this story.
Yikes. Yeah. So Forever Unclean in the filthiest way possible, it sounds like. But there you go. Go check these guys out. This album's called Best. We both recommend the song Dream. And we're going to play a clip of Karina's pick right after this. All right, and album number 7, I think, for me, this is Counterpunch Rewire, my second straight Thousand Islands Records release, and a second straight album that took a long time to come out, because I think before this, their last album, Bruises, was like 2014 or 2015. So we had like 7 or 8 years lapse between this, but it was another one worth the wait. They had some singles, I think an EP sprinkled in between Bruises and Rewire, but this one, they just knocked it out of the park. And I had described Handheld as kind of early strung out, and I think Counterpunch is more of later strung out. Like I hear a lot of Transmission Alpha Delta influence on this album, and just kind of mesh that with a lot of what you hear from like other Fat Wreck bands. And that's kind of where this album sits. But as far as my favorite song on here, it's actually Wish You Were Here, which is one of the more mellow songs in this album. I hear a lot of like Pulley and No Use for a Name influence on this. Just super catchy, super melodic. Like I love that chorus. One of my favorite actually choruses of the year. So that's going to be the clip I play from this album. And, you know, aside from the influences I stated earlier, I do hear some Rise Against on here. These guys are also from Chicago. So something in the water there that kind of makes these like great melodic punk bands. They seem to sprout up, you know, in Chicago pretty frequently. So I do hear some Rise Against influence on here as well. Karina, did you listen to this one?
I did. I do like this album a lot. Like Wish You Were Here was actually on my list as well. It's a really good number. But again, I am sad girl punk. So if you have a sad punk song, I'm willing to listen. But the album's really, really good. I would actually go as far as say it. I think it's one of the best albums that they've released. Just because the whole album has so much potential, and it actually, and like watching your screen, we pretty much have the same songs pinned, and the rest of the songs, they actually grow on you a lot. So they're even being added slowly and gradually as we go on. But it's a great album. They did such a great job with this album.
Yeah, I agree. And it's rare. Like it looks like almost the entire B-side is pinned for me, which is, you know, I don't usually do that. Usually, you know, bands put the best at the top, but this one is just solid straight through, and it makes you appreciate the B-sides even more. Like we both said, Wish You Were Here is for me a standout track, but go start at the beginning, but it really starts to get hot around track 6. Yeah, that's it. This is Counterpunch Rewire. Let us know what you think.
Wish you were here right now, so I could tell you everything I wanted to.
So my third pick, as John so nicely put it earlier, the beautiful named album by an amazing band, Get Fucked by the Chats. Yeah, that's my third album. This is another band from the Down Under, from the Gold Coast. Ayo. And like the first album was so good that I had such low expectations for Get Fucked. I imagine it would be bad, but I feel like Get Fucked is actually better than their first album. And this isn't one of these, oh, I don't know what to listen to album. You actually sit down and you just deep dive into the album. They have this thing where with the lyrics, they tend to keep shit real. They pull a lot from personal experience, and that's probably one of these things that makes the band so good. As a person with anxiety and a person that smokes, and yeah, I could relate to a lot of the songs on this album. And here's the kicker: any Australian that's looking, Falls Festival, pretty sure that was last week or the week before. The Wiggles, a children's rock group. I watched them growing up. This is children's music. Actually covered the Chats during the festival. This says a bit about the Chats' influence. But seriously, the Chats, they managed, for me at least, because I've been such a huge Chats fan since the first album, they managed to put Australian punk on my list. And again, it's raw, it's everything you want from a punk band from Australia, because we're normally used to country music. No kidding. Oh, and shout out to Body Jar for being from Australia too, and Amel and the Sniffers. I haven't forgotten about you guys. But the Chats, they took everything from me this year. It was hands down one of those. If I don't own the vinyl, I don't want to put them on my list. So I actually ordered it, and it's on its way. Oh, but the top songs I'd recommend is Panic Attack, The Price of Smokes, because if you listen to the bridge on this song, holy shit. Fuck the Parliament, right, guys? And Dead on Sight, and I've been drunk in every pub in Brisbane. I've pretty much been drunk in every pub in Copenhagen. Only a few in Brisbane. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, I haven't listened to this one yet, but I'm glad you brought up Body Jar. That's in my top 12. I love that Body Jar album.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about the country music scene in Australia, but there are definitely some really great bands down there. Let's shout out Frenzel Rom and Nerdlinger as well. And The Decline, I think friends of yours. This is an album. Someone else recommended this to me as well. And I'm looking now, 2 million plays on this first song. And then you got another song with over 1 million. So apparently there's something here. So I'm going to make a point and check this one out. Anytime a punk band gets 2 million plus plays, I feel like it's noteworthy. So I'm going to listen to the songs you recommended. You guys should too. Karina, what song did you pick for the clip that we're going to play here?
The Price of Smokes, I'm pretty sure.
All right, so
because my filthy habit translates into music too.
All right, guys. So here is a clip of The Price of Smokes. Let us know what you think. Here we go. All right, so my number 8 album is going to be Unwritten Law, The Hum. And I don't think a lot of introduction is needed for this band, but I'm going to give you some introduction anyway. This is one of my favorite bands, a band that I've been wanting to do a tier list for a while. Hopefully we could hit it in March or April, but it's going to be really difficult because I love all these albums, but I think this one is actually going to be in my top 3 Unwritten Law albums. And I think if you like Here's to the Morning, this is a great follow-up to that style. It really, reminds me a lot of that record. My favorite song on here is Dark Seas. That's the clip I'm going to play for you guys. If it's been a while since you've listened to Unwritten Law, this is a great reintroduction to the band, because if you listen to the digital version, they've got some re-recordings of some of their biggest songs. Celebration songs, Seeing Red, Save Me. So some singles from the early 2000s. But I just think Unwritten Law has like this uncanny ability to write these huge sounding songs that have this intimate feel. And I don't think there's many other bands that can nail this style the way that they do. Like they started off like, SoCal skate punk, but they've evolved into this kind of, alternative rock with pop punk influence band. And this is like I said, top 3 Unwritten Law for me. Elvis is always going to be my favorite record by them just because of the nostalgia. But if it's been a while, go listen to Beggars, Ghosted, Magnetic, Dark Seas. Those are my 4 favorites from here. But it's a really cool kind of like dark themed album. Like even the vinyl is gatefold. It's got like all cool illustrations for each song on here. Go check it out. Karina, I know you've heard of Unwritten Law. Have you spun this one this year so far?
That I actually have, because it's Unwritten Law, ironically. But I know I have such a hard-on for this band, even though they didn't make it to my top 25. I had to prioritize. Sorry, guys, you got swapped out for no fun at all. But no. Unwritten Law, it's odd because when I say this, it's like, but they do have actually a unique sound to them, which makes them one of a kind, and everyone knows Unwritten Law because it's actually really, really good music. And vocals, I actually enjoy the vocals that are on this album, but I see that we don't have the same pinned, so we should learn how to get each other, how to have mine pinned as well. So my suggestions or recommendations for the hum is actually celebration song, which is like God's Given. Ironically, the hum. I really like that one for some reason. I don't know why. Little Lies, and to keep it extra depressing, Ghosted.
Yeah, Ghosted's a go. Yeah, Little Lies is the cover, I think, with his daughter singing along on there.
Yeah, I know. I have a daughter myself, so I was like, oh.
All right, guys.
I'm just gonna keep playing that one.
All right, so that's Unwritten Law. I mean, if you're watching this channel, I'm pretty sure you know who they are. But if you missed this album, I think it slipped under some people's radars because they don't release albums very often. So go check out The Hum by Unwritten Law. We told you our picks here, but I'm gonna play Dark Seas, which surprisingly has one of the lowest play counts on the album, but it's awesome. That chorus is just like so haunting, so good. Go check it out. Unwritten Law, The Hum. Here we go.
So we're nearly done with the list, and okay, it wouldn't be a proper Karina list if we didn't mention Cigar with The Visitor, because this is gonna be so inappropriate to say, but I have a mad crush on the band, like as a band, not as anything else, because their sound is insane. Like I remember I was like 7 when they released their first album, and then like 23 years later they released a second. But in the meantime, I had been allowed to become a full functioning adult with a weird addiction to punk. And so I discovered Cigar and I was like, this is so good, but where are they? And then they dropped this album, and for 3 beautiful weeks, this song was played on repeat. This album was played on repeat in our house until my children, both of them, the first one being 6 and the second one being 2 at that point, but turning 3. And this is no lie. I will probably try and get this filmed for our Instagram. But they actually ended up singing along to Forget You because divorce sucks, but you know what they say. No, overall, I love this album, and I felt really conflicted between Cigar and what is my number one, because they both produce such a beautiful album with The Visitor and, as you'll find out, my number one, that I had such a moment, and it took me a long time to accept that. Sorry, guys, you're my number 2, but don't worry. Your third album will probably be number 1. And if I have to recommend any of their songs, and being as sad girl punk as I am, it's gonna be Move On, Classic You, Forget You, and We Used To, because I like how they reflect on everything they've been through for the past 23 years.
Yeah, pretty bold of you referencing a third Cigar album when this one took 23 years. What are you're talking like, what, 2050 when that comes out? But
I'm still gonna be alive at that point. I mean, I'm only 30, so I'm holding out, okay?
Yeah, it'll be like on my 60th birthday we get the next Cigar album. So yeah, but I agree with everything you said. This is a band I used to lump them in, like when I first got this, like in the early 2000s. The first one, I think, and I could be remembering this wrong, I remember like Theologian Records, which is Fletcher. I think he has a hand in it, from Pennywise. He had like the 98 Mutes and DV8s and this. And I kind of got those 3 CDs around the same time, and I just remember that Time is Relative. Just kind of Speed is Relative. Sorry, I think Time is Distance is DV8. So getting them mixed up. Just kind of stood out from those. So yeah, it was a long time coming to get this album. These Chances, Legacy of the Seven Plies, and Classic You are my 3 picks from this album. I'm really glad you put it here, so I didn't have to. But yeah, it's Cigar, guys. If you don't know, go check it out. Released on Fat. I think it was like a late move. I thought people at Punk Rock was putting this out, but awesome skate punk album. Great pick. No argument from me. So here we go. Let's play a clip from this album, and then I will get into my second to last pick. But here we go, guys. This is Cigar. All right, guys, again, from me, I'm going chronological. Karina is going from 10 to 1. So this is my second newest release. I'm doing No Trigger and Dr. Album. Another big heavy hitter band, another band from Massachusetts. So my second band from Massachusetts, no New York bands on the list this year. So completely unbiased. And Karina, you and I both know that the band got some heat for the little bit of shift they took with this album. A lot of people were saying this is too pop punk. You know, No Trigger's known as one of the best melodic hardcore bands. And then they put out this album. But I mean, look at my list. I love pop punk, so I didn't care. I feel like this album has like some real identity to the songs. I feel like from track to track, you can hear some uniqueness to the songs. There's even like some like ska mixed in on songs like Brainwashed. But yeah, any year No Trigger puts out an album is going to make my list. Like a No Trigger album is like the shiny Pokemon of punk rock. They just don't come along very often. Like we wait 8 years or so for an album. So I was really looking forward to this. My only complaint is that a lot of the really good songs were on the EP that came out earlier this year. But my picks from this are going to be Anti-Fantasy, Acid Lord, which if you are one of the people that like older No Trigger, the Acid Lord is a great starting point to listen to that. It's super fast, melodic hardcore song. Then No Tattoos and Brainwash to close it out for my picks. And Karina, I know you've got I know you've got a story. How you became close with the band after maybe a little feud erupted. If you want to get into that, take us away.
So my editor-in-chief over at Rock Freaks. By the way, I'm just gonna put this on record. Rock Freaks, Dying Scene, thank you for everything you've done. Mostly Rock Freaks. I love you guys. Each and every one of you. You're the best. PP and AP, I love you guys. But this is gonna be hard for you to hear, so please don't watch. No, so PP, my editor-in-chief, he reviewed it. And to be honest, I felt it was fair because I actually love this album. It made it to my 25, and it's one of these albums I keep going back to because Anti-Fantasy is such a good song, notes to tune, everything. It was a nice change of direction, and I even threw it up in our chat. We released our review, or PP's review. I stand by nothing in that review. He wasn't like totally nice about it, but I want everyone to know that when we review albums, it's like from the reviewer's perspective, and we don't agree necessarily. Like, there's a plenty we haven't agreed on, and I think that's fair because we're different people. But I like Dr. Album. It's even on my top 25 because it's a really good album considering the sound change. But so we released the review. None of us had read it beforehand, and pretty much all of us got a message from No Trigger asking us to go fuck ourselves. And that started like a shitstorm on our Instagram with a lot of their fans from America. None from Denmark. This was like American fans. And you know exactly, if I wasn't, I'll not call anyone out on this one, but like seriously, they went after our web pages, they went after everything. It was so funny for us, and I think let me just check while we do this, but I think their comment got like 150 maybe likes on us going to fuck ourselves, which is probably the most we've been liked all year. Please guys, please go check rockfreaks.net. We need you. I like my job, okay? But no, and I ended up reaching out to No Trigger and like trying to pull the leg, but they were really, really nice about it. They didn't take any offense to the review, and which is lucky for PP. But overall, these guys are so nice, and the album is actually really, really good and deserves your listen. And I'll tell you something. Actually, I won't, because I kind of like our DMs. But everybody who has responded to every story I've put out, hey, social media person, thank you for your responses on No Trigger's album. We appreciate it, even though we don't share the same opinion. But No Trigger definitely deserves a top spot in someone's top 10. Sadly, it wasn't mine.
All right. But don't worry, because I picked up the slack there. It is on my list. I'm going to play a clip of, I think, Brainwash, which is probably my favorite song on here. So there you go, guys. This is No Trigger. The song is Brainwash. Doctor Album is the song. Yeah. Go check out this one. Go check out their other stuff, too. One of my favorite bands from the Northeast. So here we go. No Trigger.
I was brainwashed as a kid, and I'm still dealing with it.
So for my number one, it's Sarchasm with Conditional Love. And it should probably not come that much as a surprise, considering that Dying Scene, reached out and asked if I wanted to review it. Well, not I, but if someone wanted to review it. And I loved Sarchasm. I have loved them for 10 years. And, well, the album is amazing on so many parts. It definitely does seem like a closed book album from how they refer to you. Well, how they lyrically talk about how everything's gonna be all right, even though they disappear. Guys, this album was probably the best I heard all year. You know already that I cried through my review because you guys and we formed a friendship, and it's a beautiful album, and 12 great years, even though I only had 10, does like close a chapter in life for me, but it also closes a chapter in life for you guys. And a special shout out to my friend Tim, who felt we were listening. Okay, fun little story. I got the album from Asian Records before it was released. I sat on it for like a month, and I was listening to it with a friend called Tim, and and Tim, he felt triggered by a therapist. So thank you, Sarchasm, because now he's in therapy. You gave him the final push. That's what I have to say about this. Oh, wait, no. Actually, top songs from the album is, 1227. Shit, a name I cannot pronounce. Line, Daydream, Conditional Love, and ironically, Therapist. My therapist is definitely going to have a field trip next week. But thank you guys for 12 years of music, 10 for me, but 12 for you guys. And I can't wait to review everything else you guys have coming.
All right, there you go. That's Karina's #1 album by Sarchasm. Album is Conditional Love. Yeah, you could tell how much she loves this album. I still need to give it an honest listen, even though I've been hearing from a lot of people how good this is. It's on Asian Man Records, so I already know it's going to be good. So this is going to be on my list to sit down, give a good listen to, but we're going to play a clip right now. So here's Sarchasm. Let us know what you think.
Everything's gonna be fine.
All right, guys. So my last pick of the day, again, I'm going in chronological order. I think this came out in September. So this is Random Heroes, Fat Elvis period. I have the tape for this one. I don't know if this was released on vinyl, but I've got the green cassette here. Another band from the UK. I think I had 3 UK bands on my list, but yeah. So Random Heroes, right now the best Ramones core power pop style band out there right now, in my opinion. This whole album is just full of hits, full of catchy songs. There's only 10 songs. I've got 5 of them pinned. It could have been 6 or 7 easily, but let's see. My favorite songs on here are gonna be Let's Do It Again, Be Remote. I think the song I'm going to play is Call Me. But earlier this year, I had a clip on my Instagram of The Butcher, The Bunny, and The Blade. Another, like, one of the faster, more aggressive songs on here. If you guys like the Lookout style, 3-chord style, punk rock, like Ramones core style bands, this is the one to listen to. This came out earlier this year on Memorable But Not Honorable. I don't know if there's any more. For some reason, I saw these were flying off the shelves, so a lot of people are into this album. Definitely one of my top picks of the year. September 2nd, there's the date right there. So this is my most recent pick. Karina, before we get into our honorable mentions and the clip from this, do you have anything to say about the Random Heroes? Did you listen to this one at all?
I did. only because the title, like, totally, it was captivating. Good music, good band. Listen to it. You won't regret it.
Call me when you're coming home.
All right. So let's play the clip, and then I gotta wrap this up. We're doing this very long. I don't know how long this is actually gonna be, but we've been recording now for an hour and a half. I don't know how long the actual video is. I tried to do like a clean run through this, and then we'll cut it up where we need to. But I'll do my 2 honorable mention picks first, then I'll pass it to you. So the first one, I mentioned it earlier, is gonna be Body Jar. With their first album in a while. I feel like that's a pattern with my list for sure. But the song I want to spotlight is Big Shot from there. So Body Jar, who a lot of people know from the Tony Hawk days, they had the Not the Same, I think on Tony Hawk 3, maybe 2. They came back with an album. And then my other one, Sick Waiting, came out just last month, or November, early November. Karina was teasing me for weeks that she had an advanced copy of it. So those are going to be my 2 on the cusp. I had them in if it was top 12. Those would be my 2 picks there. What about you? 2 more. What would you pick?
Okay. It's definitely going to be No Fun at All. Hi, Ingomar. I'm Stefan, and the rest of the guys. Love you. See you in Manchester. And of course, it's going to be Petrol Girls, because these girls, if you like Riot Girl music, give it a listen, okay? Nothing else.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up here. This is our first video of 2023. I said it already, but if you like the video, make sure and subscribe. We'll have a playlist, possibly for all the songs that we mentioned on here, but there'll be a short clip. And the reason the clips are so short is because that every time I do a longer clip, the video gets claimed by somebody. So trying to avoid that here. So that's why there's a little 5-second clip. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Head over to punkrockradar.com. Go hit Karina's links. She's a writer for Dying Scene, rockfreaks.net. Go check out what she's doing. Some cool reviews coming up. And thanks again. This is our best of 22. And hopefully 2023 hits just as hard. We'll see you next time.